Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast from the haunted attraction haunt entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week after something of a misfire last night. We'll have more on that in a minute, but thank you very much for your patience with us as we had to cancel the live show yesterday and do this, a little more off the cuff today. But thank you very much for joining us now. Before we get too deep into it, do check out hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook. Check out all the social media stuff there. Great ways to get in touch with us and catch up on past episodes. YouTube.com/HauntWeekly is basically the greatest archive of Haunt Weekly in existence. Nothing else. It's got all the episodes there. Free, easy to access, ready to listen to it at a moment's notice. You can also catch us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And Sundays at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We normally do it live. We had to cancel this week, and we had to cancel last week's, but we're getting back into the rhythm very, very soon. Hopefully this week, we're going to return to it. So thank you again for your patience. All right, so before we jump into this week's episode, this week's episode is actually spawned by a trip we went on.
It is.
We went on an extended trip to St. Louis, Missouri. Ellie's son is there, and he was having an engagement party, so we went for that and to hang out with other family members. It was the first trip we have taken since COVID.
Yeah.
It was the first time we did any kind of travel, really, but more so to see people travel.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, and it, honestly, for me, and I'm with you, there's adjustment.
Yeah.
That's still needed. I need to readjust my thinking, or maybe not so soon with all this Delta variant crap going on. But, there's clearly going to be some readjustments happening in my future with all this. But while we were there, Crystal and I took a day, and we went to City Museum in St. Louis.
We did.
And I know that a lot of haunters have actually been, because St. Louis is the home of Transworld.
Right.
And at least on a few occasions, Transworld has had events and things at City Museum. But we went as regular old tourists on a random summer Monday, and we got thoughts, basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But before we get into those thoughts, a pair of housekeeping notes real fast. First things first, starting next episode, 296, we are picking back up conference reminders. We've already gotten a few people that have messaged us conferences we need to know about. Thank you very much for doing that. Mm-hmm. Please keep those coming. We are going to do the best research we can, but I know, we're going to screw up. We're going to miss something. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
It's life's inevitability. And that's just it. It's like, it took over a year really to get our conference reminders, in a good place.
Right.
And a lot of that was suggestions from people like you listening to this. They wrote us and said, hey, what about such and such a show? And told us about a lot of cool conferences we never would have heard about or found out about otherwise.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. If we don't mention one that you love, be sure to send it to us.
Yeah, drop it to us. We will do the absolute best we can. I promise you we are not leaving anyone out because of a grudge or anything.
No.
But let us know. And second, thank you everyone for your patience on Sunday. I had to cancel the live recording. The reason being, Crystal and I are both sick.
Yeah.
And I was hitting the worst end of it right then, basically. And I was in no condition. It was really what it was about. I was in absolutely no condition to do it. We're actually doing it now when we are, because I've hit a patch where I feel great. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to use that energy to try to record this before that feeling goes away.
Exactly.
It's the top secret strategy. I have like an hour of a feeling good time. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
So, and you've been through this. You're further along than I am.
I am. basically it's just a sore throat, mild sore throat, and some tiredness.
Yeah, for me, it's manifesting more as body aches and tiredness,
Yeah.
but that I can't move tiredness is.
Yes, and you did recently have a test.
Yes,
So
it's not. We know it's not COVID.
yeah.
No.
Yeah,
To
we
clarify.
think it's just being around little kids.
In fact, I think City Museum is
Yes.
actually to blame for this.
Yes, I think that in hindsight, that was a terrible idea.
Yeah. Because kids are fucking disgusting.
Well, and it was a Monday, so we didn't think that there'd be a lot of people there. And it started out with lots of space and room without being crowded. And by the time we came back down from the rooftop, there were people everywhere.
Yeah, it was wild, and we're gonna get into our experience in a little bit. But yeah, it's like you said, we showed up. There was a long line to get in.
Yeah.
But once we got in, as you said, there was plenty of room to spread out and go find things separate for other people. We went to the third floor straight away, and there was nobody else there when we arrived.
Yeah.
I think we were the first people on that floor for that day.
Exactly.
And then we come back down. It's like you said, it was slammed to the gills.
Yeah.
So that is what happened last night. I appreciate your patience. This cold waits for no man is one thing I've had to learn. And I've had to learn to accept that I am sick, and I'm not very good at accepting that.
Yeah.
I'm actually very, very bad at accepting that.
Yeah.
All right. A non weekly housekeeping note real fast. Tomorrow, June 27th, is the day Spirit will announce all of its locations that it will be opening into.
Yes. And in a related note, the other sites that we go to, stores that we go to, the big box retail stores for Halloween, like Home Depot and Lowe's and At Home, have all started putting their Halloween selections online. Yeah, they may not be in stores yet, but they are online. So,
and yes, the 12-foot skeletons have returned, along with other 12-foot things from Home
they're
Depot.
not sold in our area, though.
They're not?
Nope, they're sold out. They're not in our area.
I've said it before and I've said it again. I want one, but I don't want one for $300.
Yeah.
Like, if I could come across one for $150, I'd probably jump at that, but I just don't have a super use for it or feel a really big need.
Yeah.
We've had super tall monsters of our own design, and they never were as fun or as cool as I thought they were going to be.
Well, that hurts my feelings because I made those.
But the thing is, they always just kind of fell into the background all the other stuff that we put out.
They did.
We put this giant tall thing in the middle or on the pole or something.
Yeah.
And then we put up all these skeleton scenes around it, and then the big tall monster just becomes background.
Yeah,
they're very cool.
That's true. They're
very cool, but the way you design it, they go into the back. And it just kind of kills it.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to the question of the week. And we had a great one last week. We asked, did you visit the spooky house in your neighborhood? And go to the facebook.com/hauntweekly thread on it for the question of the week. We do a special thread every week for it on Wednesdays.
Yes.
Go check it out. There are so many great replies to that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people saying we were the spooky house. I didn't doubt that was a common occurrence.
Right.
But I know a lot of haunters weren't, and there's actually some really interesting conversations about neighborhood spooky houses that they went to. It's just a lot of great individual stuff.
Including some people who apparently grew up in the same area and experienced
and remember the same creepy old lady with a rocking chair and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, wild. So, some really great stories in there. I would check that out if you are. But this week's question of the week is different. Have you visited City Museum in St. Louis? If so, what did you think? What were your thoughts on it? I'd be very, very interested to hear your thoughts on it. So on that note, as we said, we went and we spent the majority of a day at City Museum.
Yeah. We had planned on spending all day from open to close, but we're old, is what we learned.
I have never felt more every day of 40 than I did there.
Exactly.
I went into there thinking, I'm young at heart. Mm-hmm. And leaving going, but I am old in back and knee is the problem. Yeah.
Well, and I did more than I expected to do. But I am afraid of heights. It's something I've mentioned before. So I didn't do a lot of the climbing on the some of the things we'll talk about. But I did do more than I expected. So
Yeah, I thought you did very, very well. And, you keep saying you have a fear of heights, but it's a very specific fear of heights.
it is. Yeah.
It's not like being high up is the fear itself.
Oh, no. No, that's not the problem.
It's certain types of height situations.
Yeah.
Like, you can be on the observation deck of a big building just fine. But going across a metal, like a bridge or something with grating on it is a big bucket of nope.
Yeah, it's being able to see the ground below where my feet go.
Yeah, you don't like that. And that's actually a very reasonable fear. I don't...
If it's solid, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But if there are holes...
Yeah. And so you take a look at that glass bridge in the Grand Canyon and you just...
Yeah.
You just nope out so hard. And I don't blame you, honestly.
I didn't know there was a glass bridge there, but no.
Yes,
no,
there is a
you.
glass bridge overhanging the Grand Canyon. There is absolutely a glass bridge. You can look it up. And the terror on Crystal's face tells everything. So we're just going to move on. So let's talk about some background and some history of City Museum first, before we jump into it.
All right.
It's located in St. Louis, Missouri, as I've said now about 6 times.
Yes.
It was founded by artist Bob Cassilly and his then wife, Gail Cassilly. Bob Cassilly passed away. Has passed away since then. The building was the former International Shoe Company factory. He acquired it in 1993 and began construction almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
First glimpses were offered in late 1996 and early 97. And then it opened to the public October 25th, 1997. So when I was 17 years old. Is when it opened. Interesting. Within 2 years, it was drawing over 300,000 visitors per year, which is just tremendous for something this size. And they've been expanding and adding to it ever since. They added Montrose City, the outdoor playground thing,
right,
in 2002. They added the elevated cave and shoe shaft in 2003. And the World Aquarium in 2004. And they're currently, as if you go there now, under another construction phase.
Yes. I don't think they ever get out of construction phase.
Yeah, I'm reasonably sure.
I think they just keep building.
Yeah.
But yes, they are under construction phase right now. They're adding some stuff.
Both to the roof and inside.
Yeah, exactly.
And
apparently they do have a Halloween thing.
Mm.
So they have Freak Fest on Halloween night. Yeah.
Okay,
or at least they did last year.
Anyways, so this raises the question for those that don't know, what exactly is City Museum?
Mm-hmm.
It's 4.5 floors and around 600,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Which it feels significantly bigger than 600,000 square feet.
It does.
I know 600,000 square feet is big, but it feels so much bigger than that.
Yeah, it really does. It feels open. It feels like there's no way you can ever feel canned in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a lot to explore.
Yeah, it has, like I said, 4.5 floors. The first floor has the life-size whale. It has a giant fish tank and a series of artificial caves. There is a mezzanine between it and the second floor proper.
Right.
Which is where the food court is.
Yeah.
The second floor has the bank vault and the World Aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
The third floor is circus theme, featuring arcades, bars, live performances, and oddities and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the iconic roof, which you can take the stairs if you are a freaking idiot, or you can take the elevator. The roof has a Ferris wheel, a series of slides, a bus hanging over the edge, and much, much more.
Yes.
And of course, I'm the kind of idiot that gets into the bus hanging over the edge and immediately gets in the driver's seat, right? That's hanging, the part that's actually hanging off the edge of the building.
Yes.
And Crystal's looking at me in terror.
No, I made myself go beyond the edge of the building.
Uh-huh.
I did that.
You did quite well.
So.
Yeah, we would have done the Ferris wheel, but they were not fully loading the Ferris wheel, probably due to COVID protocols.
Right.
And the result was the line to get on the Ferris wheel was just so long.
Yeah.
We never would have been able to do it and everything else.
Right. And there was plenty of other stuff to do.
Oh, yeah. You were not want for things to do on the roof. I had to establish my youth by running up that slide.
Yes.
And succeeding. I'm glad I made it.
You ran up and you slid down.
I slid down where I was supposed to slide down.
Well, yes.
I didn't run up and then fall off the thing because I thought that was a real possibility for a second there.
You would just slide backwards.
I would just or tumble backwards, as the case probably would have been. Yeah. But no, I actually made it. So basically, you've got this big, huge thing with a ton of stuff in it, and it's really hard to nail down. Like when people say, "What is City Museum?"
Yeah,
it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I think it's an exploratory adventure park.
It's part playground, part traditional museum. There are actual museum exhibits to be found.
Yes.
As you go through. Part hands-on, exploratorium, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Part restaurant and bar venue. Part just keeps going.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of all that. It's definitely a place, I think, that is targeted at kids.
Yeah, kids and teenagers.
Kids and young teens in particular.
Yeah.
But it's, as we'll get into in a minute, it is something that everyone can find something to enjoy at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and we can't help but when we go to a place like this to try and suss out haunter lessons and this, ways that you could apply this to a haunted house or haunted attraction, or ways to not apply it to the opposite. And so that's kind of what we did here. Is we sat down, mostly at the bar on the bottom floor, and started chatting about ways haunts could learn from this and things that basically haunts could teach it. Some positives and some negatives. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the positive lessons we learned, things we wish haunts would take from it.
Right.
The negative lessons, things I think that haunts should not do and they should not do, but they are doing. But I want to make it very clear, even though the second half of this is going to be somewhat negative, because it has to be. And we'll do a wrap up too at the end, but I want to make it clear we really enjoyed our time.
Yeah.
Yes,
if you haven't gone, go.
Yeah, I want to be emphatically clear about that before we start discussion, that we really did enjoy our time. It was worth every penny.
Yeah.
It was worth the day. And yes, I was sore. And yes, dumbass us did this before the drive home.
Yes. Day before. Planning. Awesome.
We wanted to do it Sunday, but it didn't work out for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And now it's we're achy, we're tired, we're beat up. Mm-hmm. We're huddled in a ball on the floor trying to find the energy to swallow.
Yeah.
And now we got a 550-mile drive home.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's rich, right? But anyways, positive lessons right. First. The first thing I really enjoyed, and I definitely think haunts can learn from, is the impressive facade and exterior all around.
Yes.
Montrose City, the outside play area, mm-hmm. is basically right over the front of the building, right over the parking lot that they do have there. And it is gorgeous to look at. It's gorgeous. It is eccentric. It is weird.
Yeah, I love all of the ironwork that they do, and the sculptures, mm-hmm. and the different ways that you can get from one place to another in it. And
they have two castle towers, which sit very prominently, at the foreground of everything. Right. They have a small, airplane way the hell up in the air. That you can climb to through various means, and that is what nearly fucking killed me, for the record.
Yeah. Well, and you took the most traditional route, which was straight up.
Yeah. Straight up that very weird staircase. It's so hard to describe because it's like a tight spiral staircase where all the stairs are slanted toward the outside.
Yeah.
And so you never have a flat foothold the entire way up.
Right.
But you do get to bonk your head every step of the way if you happen to be 6 feet tall. Not meant for tall people.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, that happened. And then I got into that stairwell, started climbing, and I was convinced I was having a heart attack for a second there.
No.
But anyways, but even from the road and the area nearby, you can see the castles, you can see the airplanes, and you can also see a lot of the stuff on the roof. A lot of the slides on the outside of the building are visible.
Yeah.
And the big Ferris wheel is visible from a long, long distance. Which is weird because now apparently, like, since the last time we were in St. Louis, they've added another Ferris wheel. The city just has a random Ferris wheel now.
Yeah, it's a giant one, and it's attached to an aquarium. They've put an aquarium in that building. But that is something that, haunts often do, is put something really tall on the roof to say, hey, we're here. Come check us out. We look cool.
Yeah, we're cool. We're fun. And yeah, I think that's a brilliant thing to do, especially if you have a tall building. Mm-hmm. It's already kind of visually capturing.
Yeah, I think that if we did get that giant skeleton, we'd find a way to mount him to the roof.
We'd find a way. I don't know how we would do it, but I know we would find a way.
Yeah.
And honestly, thinking about it, with a tin roof, it'd probably be easier. Because you can use magnets if nothing else.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's not. But I mean, this is something visually, even if you are many blocks away from it.
Yeah, you
can see it.
Right.
And in fact, that is, like, I know that we have seen it from as far away as, like, the Darkness in St. Louis and Lent Brewery and all that area. We've seen it at Ellie's Work at U.S. Bank downtown.
Well, yeah, definitely from there. Yeah.
I think we saw it there. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember seeing it that far out. Because that Ferris wheel sticks way the hell up.
It does.
And it's not a short building. Because you got to remember, it's the bottom 4 floors are what City Museum is. Then floor 5 is apparently apartments. You can get apartments at City Museum if you were so inclined.
Interesting.
And then there's not much between 6 and 11, but then you have the roof. So it's an 11-story building.
Right.
But yeah, they have an amazing facade that catches the eye and really tells you what the place is about before you ever set foot on it.
Yes.
You know that this is an eccentric place filled with weirdness and wonderment and strangeness and things you will not experience anywhere else, pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah.
And that's what the facade and that's what all the visuals tell you. Okay, number 2 on the positives. Activities for a variety of ages. Mm-hmm. I would like to thank City Museum for having some pity tasks for us old people.
Yes.
But really, I mean, that's just it. It's amazing how they have thought, what can every age range do?
Right.
If you are a toddler, they actually have a special play space just for you.
Yes. I believe it's on the 3rd floor.
I think it is too. So maybe, I don't know if that's the floor it should be on, but they do have a space, and we accidentally wandered into it. They have a special play space for toddlers. Older kids have a variety of exhibits they can climb on and go through and duck around. I mean, they really are the ones that are the focus, and they have the run of the joint, realistically.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you are a larger person, it's going to be hard to get onto some of the slides and things just because of the way they're set up.
Yeah. Tweens and teens have video game arcades with super retro arcade games, and they also have some thrill rides, like the bigger slides and so forth. Mm-hmm. And adventurous adults can participate in a lot of these things.
Yes. Yes, I would consider you an adventurous adult.
And less adventurous adults can drink and roam through many of the exhibits. There are also, like I said, regular museum exhibits where you just walk up and read a plaque or push a button and see a machine work or whatever.
Yeah.
More traditional museum fare. They have some of that there. Mm-hmm. Like they have that really great insectarium that we wander through.
Yes. Yes, they do. And the architectural detail section that we were taking pictures of, and I'm like, I wonder if we can find something like this for the house.
Yeah, they had a whole section, and what she's talking about is like they took all the gargoyles and faces and things off of walls, probably from buildings being demolished, and preserved them in a room. Yeah. So you go through this place where all these flowers and little architectural details, they just don't make anymore. Buildings don't get those anymore.
Yeah, not really.
New construction doesn't do that. Yeah. And it sucks. Because that's what made buildings cool.
Yeah, and there's a gift shop on that same floor that sells replicas of a lot of the things that are on exhibit.
So yeah, it's so much fun for adults too. There are areas that you can roam through and just walk through as a traditional museum. Yeah, and there are bars and or restaurants and places you can go to hang out. I mean, I honestly could have killed the whole day at Beatnik Bob's.
Yeah, me too. That was my favorite place that we visited there.
Third floor, it's a bar slash arcade, but it's all old timey arcade machines.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing newer than I would say the 60s. 60s or 70s, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah.
Because I don't think any of the machines were newer than that.
Yeah, and I got to play some games that I'd never seen before.
And I got to relive some of my childhood memories of going to the beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and playing the old-timey baseball arcade games, which are just so much fun. I mean, I'm not usually a baseball fan at all, but I love those old-timey baseball arcade games, and they're getting very rare to find.
Yeah.
So, no, you have a lot of these old-timey machines. Yeah, basically, though, no matter what age you are, both internally and externally, you can find something to do there. You will have a full day, trust me. You're not want for things to do.
Yeah, and while you're roaming around, you're going to get hungry. You're going to want something to drink. And there's a wide assortment of food, drink, merch, and other paid activities that you can also do.
Yeah, one of the things I was really fascinated about, and this is the third item, was that they really did a great job finding ways to get people to spend more money there and be happy about spending more money there.
Yes.
Because that's just it. It's like, okay, I've been in situations, like I've been in Major League Baseball stadiums before, and you get hungry, and so you get your meal of 2 hot dogs and a soda or whatever, and it's like, $15 a goddamn person for fucking hot dogs and chips at a baseball stadium, and that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Now, you're mad about that. Like, I think that's what it was like at WrestleMania for the Superdome too.
Yeah.
It was outrageous.
Yeah. Mediocre food and overpriced
drinks. I'm paying $8 for a piss warm beer. Thanks a lot, Superdome.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they have so much to do, and it's all priced affordably, and it's all good stuff that you want to do.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. They have 8 places to eat and drink, including 4 bars. Now, not all of them were open on our visit.
Right.
I found that out, but some are closed, but they all are there. And I suspect they're all open on the busier days.
Yeah.
Because as crazy as it was for us, I suspect that still was a pretty quiet day for City Museum.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, we were just overwhelmed by the amount of people because we haven't been around a crowd, period.
Yeah, this was our first...
in a year and a half, so...
Yeah, this was our first crowd since February? January of 2020?
Probably February. Probably the show that I worked for Mardi Gras.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it'd probably be either that or HauntCon itself in 2020 might have been it.
Yeah.
One of those two would have been, depending upon your definition of crowd.
Yeah. Small space, lots of people.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think the show could count as a crowd, but HauntCon definitely would.
Yes.
So, depending on your definition, one of those two was it. There are 3 places to buy stuff, including an antique shoelace shop, which we passed by a few times. You can get custom shoelaces made there on antique machines.
I wish I had seen that.
We saw it multiple times. I pointed it out.
Okay.
We were also very tired and overwhelmed with everything.
Yeah, it may not have sunk in that you were pointing it out because I don't remember that. I remember a place where you could get like charms and jewelry stuff made.
That was in the same place.
Oh, okay. I just didn't see the shoelace part of it.
Yeah, it was the Shoelace Shack, I think is what they called it. And they use an antique shoelace making machine
cool.
to make shoelaces. It was pretty cool. But they have that. They have 3 places to buy things. A main gift shop on the first floor, the Shoelace Shack, and another shop elsewhere. And they also have crafters that set up booths, especially on the 3rd floor, 2nd and 3rd floor. So you're not wanting for places to get souvenirs, and they are very unique souvenirs too.
Right. Yes, unfortunately we got exhausted and did not go to any of the shops.
Well, the problem was we got exhausted on the 1st floor. I
know, because we worked our way down.
We got exhausted on the 1st floor, and when you get exhausted on the 1st floor, you ain't going back up.
No.
What kind of idiot does that?
Exactly.
You're not going back up. We stayed at that bar, the Cabin Inn, the bar on the 1st floor, drinking whatever we were drinking. trying to get the energy to go do more, and it just wasn't happening. The liquor wasn't giving us energy. Usually alcohol fuels activity. Didn't work on this occasion.
This time it was just like, yeah, this feels good. Let's just sit here.
Let's just sit here. I'm gonna drink my rum punch again, and we're gonna not move from this spot.
Exactly.
They only have one ticket upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk more about this in a minute, but then that's an upgrade for the roof.
Yeah.
And they have city nights, an event for adults. And they also have memberships. So they have a whole bunch of ways to capture money while they're there beyond the ticket. And all of them are ways people are happy to pay.
Right. And the city nights for adults, we would have loved to have done it that way. But we were not there on the night that it was happening. So
yeah,
just didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. They've been doing it limited run with COVID. And I totally grok that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that there was no overlap between our visit and the City Nights event.
Yeah.
I don't know the numbers, but I suspect that if they do not make at least 50% of their revenue from things other than tickets, I would be stunned.
Yeah.
Because I know we spent way more on stuff there, food and drinks and things there, than we did on the tickets, because the tickets were relatively cheap, all things considered.
Yeah, they were. Yes, and it was simple ticketing, too.
Yeah.
It was very simple ticketing.
Brings us to item 4, simple ticketing. My God, this is so easy.
Yeah.
You want a ticket to City Museum? I'm going to tell you what to do. You ready? Ticketing at City Museum is basically $18 plus tax for a day pass. There are no kid discounts that I could find. There are no senior discounts that I could find. They may exist. I just didn't see them on the site. There is an $8 upcharge if you want roof access. You have to ask for it in advance and get a time to go up.
Yeah.
So that way the roof doesn't get super crowded. And that's a good thing. Having been up there, I understood completely why they do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, because that line for the Ferris wheel would have been twice as long.
Oh, none, twice, nothing, probably 3 or 4.
At least.
You know. And the only way to get a discount is a $6 discount for groups of 12 and over, which, by the way, I think this is gameable.
Yeah.
Because if you have 4 people in your family, and you know 2 other families with 4 people, you've got a 12-person group if you can agree on a day to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big. That cuts out a third of your ticket price. You know?
I do think that they had season passes.
They did.
Too.
They had a membership.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had memberships that you could go season passes, and I know a lot of people went on those.
Yeah, I think that if we were in the area, we'd probably have a season pass. Just that way we could explore one floor a day and not get exhausted.
Well, and not only to explore one floor a day, but like we could take an entire day at Beatnik Bob's in that arcade.
Yeah, exactly.
Just bring a fuck ton of quarters.
Yeah.
Like, cash out like $50 in quarters.
Well, we've got a pirate pig downstairs that's pretty full of coin.
Mm-hmm. Now, I would love, because we saw the games in Beatnik Bob's.
Yeah.
It was only as we were leaving that we saw the entire huge arcade section just outside of it.
Right.
And I would love to go play a bunch of those games, get tired, go get a beer, go get a pretzel or something at Beatnik Bob's, sit, hang out there for a minute, then leave, because unfortunately they don't play by New Orleans rules. You can't take your alcoholic beverages with you.
Yeah.
Then go play more games and just lather, rinse, repeat for much of the day. I think that'd be a great thing to do. I would love that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But that's kind of the thing, is like the exploratory nature of it is such that you always see stuff you didn't get to do adequately that time, you want to do next time.
Exactly.
That's very much part of the design of City Museum. So
yeah, and it's very much encourages play and exploration.
Yeah. But getting back to ticketing, there's no VIP, no varied pricing day to day, no complications, no hidden upcharges other than tax, but that's bullshit we're kind of used to in these United States, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I prefer the way they do it in Europe, where the VAT is included in everything, and the price you pay is the price you pay.
Yeah.
I much prefer that, and I hate this surprise, 10% jump in the price every time I go to buy something.
Yeah.
It just sucks. And you can never fully, it really sucks when traveling because sales tax is different from area to area and region to region.
Right.
And so you're never fully braced for your sales tax that you're going to pay when you're traveling. Yeah, there's no hidden fees, no credit card fees, none of that stuff. Basically, other than tax, you should be able to figure out exactly what you're going to spend in ticketing before you leave. If you ain't figured that out, it's a math problem, not a city museum problem.
Yeah. I agree.
Moving on to the last item. Basically, the whole system is set up to encourage you to spend both time and money in the museum. You will not be wanting for food and drink. The prices are high, but they're cheap enough to stomach. I don't feel like we were ripped off or
No, not at all.
mistreated anyway. There is so much to do, free and paid. It's easy if you have the energy and the youthful vigor to spend an entire day there.
Yes.
And you are a captive audience, but you are a happy captive audience.
Yeah.
And this is something I wish more haunts did. I've only seen one haunt that I felt really did this. And that was Creepy World in Houston. And then a lot of the haunts there.
I thought it was the one with the free beer.
No, that one too. No.
Because they had a full arcade around it.
That's true. I think that was one of the things I did like about the Houston run is more haunts were thinking that way.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be the place to spend the entire evening, not just come to our haunt and leave.
Yeah, and that's why I think that we saw a lot of teenagers being dropped off is because there was stuff for them to do all night that was relatively cheap add-ons to the price of admission.
Yeah. That was something, I mean, there was a lot I griped about on the Houston run, and will still gripe about, frankly.
Yeah.
But that was one of the areas they excelled, was this.
I agree.
All right. The negatives. Once again, yes, we're going to talk about some negatives, but we did overall enjoy the visit and highly recommend going.
Mm-hmm.
So please keep that in mind. Number 1, poor signage.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Some of this is intentional.
It's very intentional. Everywhere they're like, we have no maps.
We have no maps. We have no way for you to figure out, where a specific thing is. And some of that is very intentional because you're meant to explore and wander. Like we wandered into Beatnik Bob's.
Yeah, you're supposed to have fun getting lost.
You're supposed to get a little bit lost. It's part of the experience, and I get that. That said, restaurants, restrooms, and other paid activities should still be clearly marked.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. I should not be. I need a restroom. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Where's the closest one?
And then feel completely lost trying to find a restroom.
Yeah.
That should not happen. And also, if you have timed events, like they did with the roof access, clear signage is needed. We barely found the elevators to go up to the roof.
And we had been up there for what?
For a while, yeah.
15, 20 minutes just walking around?
Yeah, just roaming around looking at stuff. Because that was our whole plan was we knew the elevators were on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
So we're like, we'll go explore the 3rd floor. And then I'm sure we'll see signs for the elevators when we're there.
Exactly.
No, we did not see signs for the elevators.
Oh.
But we did find them.
We eventually saw a line and that must be the line we're supposed to be in that wasn't there when we got here.
Yeah. Because like I said, when we first got to the 3rd floor, I think we were the first non-staff humans on that floor for that day.
Yes, exactly.
Because we pretty much went straight there. But yeah, I get it. Some of it's intentional, but these things need to be clearly marked. I mean, people should never get lost trying to go to the bathroom,
right?
Meet obligations that you placed upon them,
right? Or
give you money.
Yeah, exactly.
They should always know where to give you money and how to give you money.
Yes, and that's one of the other things we saw on the way out of Nick Bob's was the ATM.
Yeah.
Because you had a couple of bucks on you, and that's what we used. But if we had seen the ATM, we probably would have stayed a little longer in that area.
Yeah, we didn't see it until we were actively leaving it. Because there wasn't a sign for it. It was tucked away in a corner.
Exactly.
And yeah, it was very interestingly decorated and very fun decoration. Very whimsy.
Yeah.
Very much whimsy.
But you walk in and it's to your back.
Yeah.
It's not over near the concessions. We went over the concessions and got change because we also didn't see the change machine.
Yeah.
For similar reasons.
Yeah, it was actually right next to the ATM.
Yeah, exactly.
Making us feel like total dunces. But they weren't signed. There was no signs pointing to it, no signs over it or around it, really. They were just hanging out there in a darkened corner right near the entrance.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to tell you. So yeah, we totally missed it. Sorry. But yeah, stuff like that, should be signed very, very clearly because you don't want people to struggle with those things. Number 2, on the negatives, queue line management was horrible.
Yeah. Basically, it was non-existent.
It was non-existent. And that both includes the queue line to get in, as we were there right at opening.
Right.
And the queue line to get on the elevators to the roof. And anywhere else we ran into a queue line.
Yeah.
There was functionally no queue line management.
Right. Yeah, and it wound up messing some people up because they came in from a different direction and were standing at a different door. But because of COVID, they only had one entrance open. And so they had to get to the back of our line, which had grown.
Which that doesn't make a goddamn lick of sense. Because of COVID, we're going to combine everyone through one door?
Yep.
Did anyone actually think that one through?
Nope.
That makes the people more densely packed.
Yeah.
Son of a... Anyway. But yeah, the queue line management was non-existent. And there were no cattle gates, no indicators on the ground of where you should stand, no markings. The line just sort of snaked randomly, and in the case of the outside line, ended up blocking the parking lot.
Yeah, for where
staff and so forth, I think, were parking.
Staff and handicapped accessible parking.
Yeah,
was located.
They couldn't park there.
Yeah.
And they had to get someone out there. Okay, everyone move to the left and move to the right and move and do
a big Congo line.
Do a big funky dance to let these cars in. Mm-hmm. So that should not be a thing. And there was also, to make matters worse, confusion about where to go while in line.
Yes.
Was electronic ticketing needed?
Right.
No. Turned out the answer was no, thankfully. Because I didn't buy it. For the first time in my life, I didn't buy electronic tickets.
Yeah, I know.
And I did not think about how weird that was for me until I was in the line.
Yeah.
Because normally I'm Mr. Electronic Ticket in my hand and on my phone.
Well, I think that we still had some of the apprehension that if we got there and saw that it was going to be really, really packed, that we would leave.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was not when we got there.
Yeah. And I will grant that this kind of queue line management's a problem that's only a problem once. But, I mean, just imagine the song we'd be singing right now if that line had been longer.
Yeah. Well, and I have no idea how to tell who was in line after it was open and people were in Monstrous City.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, there was a lot of weirdness there. Next item on the negative list, wasted and empty space.
Yeah.
This was more weird than a hard negative.
Right.
But it was bizarre. Now, some of this was COVID related. On the 3rd floor, there were a lot of spaces meant for live performances, and the live performances have been nixed due to COVID.
Right.
And I get that. But there were still many, many places, especially on the 3rd floor, but throughout the museum, that were just weirdly empty.
Yeah.
They weren't walled off. They weren't signed.
Just nothing there.
There was just nothing there. There was giant empty rooms. Some of them very beautiful rooms, but they were just empty.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't take the time to do a quick panel wall and wall off these zones that people don't need to use anymore and don't need to meander through. Yeah, we were unsure if these were areas we were supposed to access.
Yeah.
Because when you see exhibits and you see things, you go, okay, I'm supposed to go over there and do things. You
Right.
know what the score is. But when you see a big empty room, it's like, do I belong in here?
Yeah.
This room for me or not me?
Yeah.
It's so weird. So yeah, that was the thing that it felt empty in places. And that's just it. It's such a big museum. There's so much stuff there. It's ridiculous. But that made it feel smaller. Weirdly. You know what I mean? So yeah. Simply walling off areas they're not using would have helped a lot. Or at least clearly demarking what they are. And that why they're empty would have helped too. Especially like the live performance spaces on the 3rd floor. They could have just put, rope around it and said, area for such performance canceled due to COVID.
Invisible circus happening now. Look through glass.
Okay, that'd have been funny. I'd have laughed at that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they could have done something with these spaces to indicate what they are
Yeah.
and make the museum not feel as empty, which is an unjust feeling because it is not an empty museum.
Right.
But I have these very vivid memories, even now, a week later, of these big, huge empty spaces and trying to figure it out. And apparently, this has been an ongoing thing for them, where
Yeah.
they just kind of have this type of space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, sometimes it's nice to wander into a big empty space.
And sometimes it's not.
And sometimes it's like,
I don't belong
I'm
here.
supposed to be here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
All right, the number 4 item here, physically demanding and ADA issues. They do say they are handicap accessible on their site, and I believe they are. But there's clearly so much in that museum that cannot be done from a wheelchair or crutches.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see how they are.
Yeah.
Just because the whole point of some of the things are to be physically involved in it.
Yeah, to climb, to slide, to run, to do things. And and
I mean, you can go around the exhibits on the floors pretty easily.
Yeah. And there are elevators to everything.
Yes.
Including the one that takes you to the tippy tip top of the roof.
Right.
So yeah, you can access all parts of the museum, but you're not. But the activities themselves, they don't have a lot really focused on, people with mobility limitations.
Right.
And even someone like me, who's not mobility limited in any way, shape, or form, I was still fucking dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did a lot of climbing.
Yeah, I did. I did way too much. And so, yeah, a lot of this clearly cannot be made ADA accessible, considering it's not even 40-year-old asshole accessible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's... I think more of it could be accessible than is, but I also understand. So this is something I'm torn on,
Yeah. Because, I mean, I can see going out onto the roof and looking out at the skyline and stuff, which is it's a very pretty view from up there.
Oh, yeah.
And rolling around the floors and looking at the traditional exhibits and playing the arcade games. So there is, but I think that you would probably miss out on 40%, 20
or more, yeah. You're going to miss out on a lot.
Yeah.
And the final issue is the location.
Right.
The location's pretty naff.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Parking is severely limited outside of paid lots that I do not believe the museum controls directly. They are nearby.
I have no idea.
I have no idea either, but it didn't appear to be a part of it. At least if they are part of and owned by the city museum, the signage did not clearly indicate that.
Right.
How's that?
Fair enough.
So there are paid lots nearby, but the nearest public transit, as we found out, is 9 blocks away. There are 3 stations almost equidistant for the Metrolink.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got to walk 9 blocks pretty much to get to any of the public transit stations. That is a long walk. I'm not going to lie to you.
It is, and at the end of our day, we decided that we weren't doing it.
Yeah, we lifted home. It's also not in a part of town where there's much to do.
Right.
Unless going to the Social Security Administration office is your thing, or you want to visit the Emo's Pizza headquarters.
Yeah, because we looked for things to do outside of it so we could recover a little bit before heading back. And we're not able to find anything.
Yeah, our original vision for the day was we were going to do City Museum, and we figured it'd be there till right around closing at about 5, and we didn't want to go back across the river because we were staying in Belleville, across the river. We didn't want to go on public transit during rush hour because we're not that kind of tourists. We know
we've done it before.
Yeah, we've done it before. We know not to do it ever again.
So we would have been fine doing it, but rush hour isn't the time to do public transit.
No,
as you said, and it was a 20-minute walk from City Museum.
So the original plan we had was we would find a bar or a place to hang out or something else to do that was less physically demanding, and just hang out there for a bit, and then get on the Metrolink and go. But there just was nothing.
Yeah.
We did multiple searches. We did not find anything. We ended up just taking the lift home, because that's basically what it is a drive to, go to, drive away from type of a event. Which luckily, like I said in our positives, they've got a lot to keep a captive audience entertained.
Exactly.
You will not be want for stuff to do. You don't have to leave.
Right.
But if you do leave that area for some reason, there ain't much around.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks. So, yeah. That is the positives and the negatives lessons for haunters from City Museum. As a wrap-up, though, I want to reiterate that we had an amazing time. We really did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. Realized very quickly how out of shape we've gotten.
Yeah.
And just how old we've gotten. That part was a very difficult lesson to learn. But we definitely think there are ways that the museum can improve, and definitely ways in which things the museum does that haunters could learn from.
Yeah, and my favorite thing was looking at all of the details, especially on the different railings for all the stairways, because they were all different. No matter where you were, there was a different type.
Yeah. I was particularly fond of the rolling pin railing that existed on much of the first floor and the part of the mezzanine.
Yeah.
Where you got to spin them and...
Yeah. And they were all hand-painted.
All hand-painted. I know that because we separated. One of the other minor frustrations was there was no place to get both meal food and beer or alcohol. So if you wanted... At the same place. So if you wanted like a rum punch or a beer with your meal, you kind of had to get creative. Yeah. And so you were downstairs at the cabin inn handling the liquor. I went upstairs to the mezzanine to get the food.
Yes.
And I sat there waiting on the food, playing with the rolling pins.
Yeah.
I killed time that way. So those were very good. And then, yeah, that is one of the more interesting things. There was always something to look at, to touch, to do around every corner.
Yeah, the detail work in it's amazing. The way that they put slides everywhere to get from one floor to another.
That honestly reminded me of Raven's Grin Inn.
Yeah.
The slides. Just because, Jim Warfield put slides randomly in his house.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't
What's
you?
your problem?
It's my house. I'll put slides wherever I want.
Exactly.
Screw you, pal. You can't tell me I can't have slides. I can definitely have slides.
Uh-huh.
That he is such a nutter. I love him. The craziest guy in haunting, Jim Warfield.
Definitely a unique brain there.
Definitely the most unique. But anyways, but still, that made me think of that because of the way the slides just were strewn randomly throughout the entire building.
You don't feel like finding stairs? Here, have a slide.
Yeah, have a slide. You can get from any floor to any floor down, obviously, with a slide.
Well, yeah.
You still got to take the stairs up or an elevator up, but you definitely have slides all around that you can take. So yeah, it was really great how there was always something to look at, something to do. And like I said, I think the biggest lesson for haunters I can think and I can pull from it really is just how to become a destination that people spend hours and hours and hours at happily.
Yeah.
They really have mastered that art, and they kind of have to because their location is such that they don't have anything else they can work with.
Right.
If you leave City Museum, it's probably to get in a car and go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
completely agree.
That is the only reason. There's nothing to walk to. There's no public transit nearby. And which is bad because St. Louis, while not the best city for public transit, ain't the worst either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we have not gotten lost on St. Louis public transit.
We have definitely gotten lost in Philadelphia public transit, though.
Yeah.
And ended up God knows where.
The end of the line, that's where we ended up.
Yeah, and then that was partly because of confusing directions. But anyways, we ended up having a really, really good time there. Really enjoyed it. Definitely, though, think that haunters can learn a lot from that experience. And that's one of those things. It's like, haunted attractions need to become destinations where people spend time. And like here in New Orleans, all three of the major haunts in this area are pretty much, the 13th Gate less so than others. And Rise is trying to change it bit by bit. But like I know, like New Orleans Nightmare and the Mortuary here locally, the big haunts here inside the city, are things you go to and leave.
Yeah. Well, that's because the city is its own attraction in a way.
Yeah, fair.
So, Mortuary, you can get to it by streetcar, which is an attraction. You can't do that with New Orleans Nightmare, but
the whole idea of there's no reason to spend significantly more time there than the time you spent waiting in line and going through the haunt.
Right.
And that's something I think haunts broadly need to work on and change, because there's revenue we're missing out on there. We can capture so much more revenue if we give people a reason to hang out and stay. But also just because it makes people more likely to come to your haunt. They're going to make that 30-minute drive. I mean, are you going to drive 30 minutes to go through a 20-minute haunt and then drive 30 minutes back? Or would you be more likely to drive 30 minutes to do a 30-minute haunt and then spend 3 hours or 4 hours at a carnival or something and then go back?
Yeah.
Which is the better investment of your time?
Yeah.
That's what City Museum, I think, has really mastered, is making themselves an all-day attraction, if your body holds up to it.
Yes, I will agree with that.
Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for spending the past hour with us. Greatly appreciate you letting us in. Once again, sorry about having to cancel the live recording. Hopefully, I will be done with this cold, and we'll both be done with the cold.
Yeah.
By the time of the next one on Sunday, when we're going to be doing the news. So yes, but take the time, check out hauntweekly.com. We're Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/hauntweekly is the YouTube channel. All of the previous episodes are there. Find an episode, give a listen. It's a lot of fun. Spin the wheel, make the deal, and all that jazz. You can also find us at Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And Sunday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Facebook.com/HauntWeekly. We're going to try this recording a live thing again. We've missed the last 2 weeks, one due to vacation, one due to illness, but we're coming back. I promise. We'll see you all then.